I actually started research in high school. My high school science research teacher, Joe Rule, came up to me and asked if I'd like to participate in a summer research program at Purdue, and I thought it was a great idea. Growing up on a farm though, innovation is kind of one of the driving forces, so I'd always been interested in research and coming up with better solutions to problems that we had in the world, so I thought that research was a great extension of my upbringing. I also, before coming to Purdue, I worked in a plant evolutionary and evolutionary biology lab, and I learned some of the basic techniques in science research, so like PCR, running gels. Just knowing those things before I came in made me very excited to get started on the next level. So freshman year, I joined my current lab, which is mammary gland biology and circadian rhythm research lab. And having those skills already from high school made it a very smooth transition into this lab. And yeah, I was very excited to get into research that I really was interested in as well. Yeah, freshman year I was ready to get started, so I just watched the bulletins for lab openings, and when I found one that sounded really interesting, I applied and interviewed, and my skill set was adequate to join the lab, and that's how I got started. I work for Dr. Karen Plout, and she's the Senior Associate Dean for Research in the College of Ag. She has been a fabulous mentor. We come from sort of similar backgrounds. We're both very interested in mammary gland biology. I grew up raising dairy goats, and her interest in mammary gland biology combined with mine, it's been great. We've talked about a lot. So she's worked on projects with dairy cows, and actually we're starting a study with dairy goats in our lab, and that just, we bonded over that. She's been a great mentor. She's worked at the National Institutes of Health, NASA. She's been at a bunch of different institutions academically all over the US. So just having her mentorship and guidance, it's been wonderful, and it's helped me grow and explore my opportunities for the future as well. Most of the time, labs will have you start out doing dishes and kind of the grunt work, which it gets you familiar with the lab and gets you to know the lab members better. Sometimes that can be a challenge for people going in because they want to get started right away on the real research and have their own project. But you do have to work through that. You have to earn the right to be able to participate, and you have to build your skills. So that was one challenge, just getting to the point where you could be competent enough to do your own research and have your own project. Personally, I've grown in time management skills, balancing coursework and research and extracurricular activities has been a challenge, but it's been really good for me. I feel going into the next phase of my life, grad school, I'll be able to manage those better because of my experience here in research. I've learned how to communicate a lot more effectively, whether that's to grad students, talking about my research, or to undergrads, like counseling them, telling them, teaching them new things, to mentors in lab meetings, presenting your research at conferences. Communication has been really key. It's one of the things that I've learned most in the lab. Academically, it's awesome. You learn a new technique in lab, and then you learn about it in class, and at least I get really excited about that. And in class, you're always the first one to volunteer to talk about, so can anyone tell me about this technique? And you already know about it because you just did it in the lab. So that's happened a lot to me in biochemistry because most of my research is biochemistry based. I was able to work in a mammary stem cell biology lab at the National Institutes of Health for a summer, and last summer I worked at Mayo Clinic exploring more human health related issues. It has opened up a bunch of opportunities for me in terms of scholarships and in terms of grad school. My research experience kind of set me along the line to, apply for some of the research-related scholarships, and those have in turn helped me get into grad school and other scholarships as well, so it's been great. If you enjoy it, you're going to want to do it more, and the more work that you put in, the more likely it's going to be to pay off in terms of scholarships. And also, it's very evident if you're excited and passionate about your work when you're talking about it, whether that's in an essay, for a scholarship or in an interview. The other thing is, I would say don't be discouraged right off the bat. Finding a lab is hard. So is presenting your work for the first time. So is, there's so many challenges. I've considered either academia or possibly, who knows, maybe even the NIH or the CDC. I really like public health and anything related to improving people's lives. My kind of theme that I like to go along with in my life is I like to make a difference, but kind of, if I can, like behind the scenes or in a subtle way. So I think research is a perfect way to do that.